Hi everyone. I am just getting a strong impression that I need to put this on video because I'm having a moment. And I cannot have a moment alone. By the way, okay, this is going to be reversed probably, but I'm wearing this fun shirt today. Um, what I will start this off with is saying that if you have never explored your past incarnations, I highly recommend you do so because it's extremely informative and healing. I have discovered past lives that explain why I love certain things and why I hate and are pretty much and am pretty much phobic about certain things. But I have been told by other mediums and such that I've had at least two lives in Tibet, and I've actually seen. Have I seen both of them? There may have been more than two, but I've seen at least one. And when I say seen, I've had numerous ways of seeing a bunch of my past lives, but so sometimes I have been hypnotically regressed and seen them that way. Other times I've just had spontaneous flashes of the life. And then other times I've had dreams where I've been shown snippets of past lives. So I've seen them through various mechanisms. But I do highly suggest that, especially that everybody do this, but especially if you have struggled with something your whole life and it doesn't make sense to you regarding your current incarnation, why you respond the way you do. I mean, your response seems over the top. Like if you've had this horrendous fear of drowning, for example, but you've never had any, experiences in this life that explain why you fear water that much, there's probably another reason why. Now, interestingly, and I wish I could find the study. Many years ago, it was in California, I believe. This study took place where they took a whole bunch of people with asthma, and they hypnotized them, regressed them to see if there was something way back that would explain their current life's issue with having a hard time breathing. And if I'm remembering this correctly, I want to say about 85% of the people that they hypnotized and took back to past lives had either drowned, I think usually drowned, but sometimes suffocated in some other way. And when the hypnotherapist cleared that out, the asthma in their current life disappeared. That's how powerful this is. For example, my 26 years of neck and head hell, I do have, real injuries in this life specifically to this area, and there are no coincidences. I've also died by my neck in numerous past lives. The biggie, well, there's a couple of biggies actually, but the famous biggie is I was hung on July 19th, 1692 during the Salem witch trials. I believe I was Sarah Good. So that's a big part of it. I was beheaded in one life. I was a guy in that one, and a man, and I will say that I wasn't a good person. So I deserved it. But still, it's traumatic. So let's say I was hung, beheaded, I was strangled during a jealous rage years ago by my husband at the time. That one actually explains a couple of things. Because I had this really weird, from the time I was a young kid, this is going to be a much longer video than I had initially planned. From the time I was a young kid, I had this, seemingly inexplicable fear that somebody was going to kill me by my neck in my bed. To the point where for years growing up, I couldn't sleep at night unless I had my covers tucked up around my neck to protect my neck, which really wouldn't do anything, but at the time I felt it did. So it explains that phobia and my phobia, which is really a bad phobia, of the phrase, I love you. That, if on the rare occasion in my life, because it has not happened a lot, that someone has said, I love you, I literally tense up. It's like, it's an instinctive reaction, whatever, and I need to find a way to get over that. So in that life, which was in it's hard to estimate the time, Middle Ages-ish, I'm going to say it was like a really long time ago. I mean, we were living in a very rudimentary home with dirt floors and all that kind of thing. But what happened was I was pregnant. I was a woman. I was pregnant, married to this guy, and he was convinced that I had cheated on him with some other guy and the baby wasn't his. Now, this is not true. The baby was his, did not cheat on him, was his baby, but he was not convinced of that. So he's hysterical. He's strangling me in my bed in a jealous rage. And I still remember it. And actually, I'm going to totally go off in tangents. Because there's been a few lives that explain why I've never wanted to have kids in this life. Besides the fact I just like my independence and don't want to be tied down to children. But, but he, so he's killing me. He's crying and he's saying, I love you, as he's killing me. That explains my issue with that phrase. And I was pregnant. So, just quickly about the pregnancy, not wanting children in this life thing. So I was killed while pregnant in that life. I died during childbirth in another life that I feel was in Austria or Germany for some reason. I don't know. It's hard to know why I know that. I just kind of feel like it was Austria, Germany kind of thing. And interestingly, I fell for this guy in this incarnation who I now believe was the baby that I birthed in that one and died during. And that would have explained our dynamic in this life. And then, wait, hold on. Was killed during childbirth, died during childbirth. There's another one. I'm totally blanking, but you see my theme here. But there's another one, and I've seen a lot of my lives, so it's hard to keep everything straight. I know. So go back to the neck. Hung, strangled, beheaded. I had as a Native American. I've been a Native American a few times. I was a warrior in one, and I got a spear in my neck that knocked me off my horse, and that's also why I love horses. I was very bonded with my horse. Shackled. I was shackled by my neck in one life. Although that one I didn't see. Another psychic said they saw that life. So unless I see it, I don't trust it as much. But I am totally lost as to where this video was going. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. So to get back to what triggered this, I could go on and on. Oh, by the way, past life in Newcastle, England. One of my good past lives, because there were not a lot. I was a woman married to a man. We had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, in Newcastle, England. It was not an exciting life, but a really nice life. We were bakers. We owned a bakery. And that is where my lifelong love of the smell of baking bread comes from. I mean, if I could wear baking bread behind my ears, I would. That's how much I love the smell, which is like suckily ironic. I now cannot have gluten. Thank you. Anyway, I don't know. Oh, I had a good past life in, I think, Versailles, France. Interestingly enough, my father in that life is my father in this life. And we had money. We were like in Versailles. I mean, that was a good one. I have a past life in the South that I suspect was in Savannah, Georgia. I have a very strong feeling it was Savannah from what I saw. I was upper middle class in that life. By the way, most of my lives have not been wealthy. But I think I had, some financial security in that life. But anyway, to go back to Nepal, Tibet, whatever. Years ago in Los Angeles, I went to this, and I don't remember why I went to this total stranger's home, but I did. I think I was buying something from him, and we ended up sitting down over and having a cup of tea, talking about, he did an import-export business, and he imported stuff from Nepal. And beautiful, fabulous stuff from Nepal. But we're talking about random stuff, and he says the name, which I'd never heard before, Ganesh Himal. I started crying. At his table, over tea with this stranger, I break into sobbing. I was overwhelmed with emotion. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. I mean, he's much more calm than me. And he says, well, I have my feeling. I think I know why you're crying, but okay. Yeah. So when I went home, I went and Googled Ganesh Himal to see what it was. And it is a region between, it's a mountain range and region between Nepal and Tibet. And I saw pictures of the mountains there and started crying again. So that kind of confirms the past lives that I feel like I had in the Nepal, Tibet, specifically Nepal, Tibet area, but there's some Indian aspects too, because I've always been very drawn to India. And India and all things Tibet. Increasingly now Nepal too, but... So I had... Anyway, so there was supposedly somebody else told me this. There was supposedly one past life in Tibet, I think, where I was severely handicapped. I was not able to walk and stuff, which is eerily tied to my spine damage now too. But in one life, the one that I saw, so I'm in a cave, and this is like going to be backwards, but from my view, I'm on the right. I'm going to say I was a boy, and I was going to say I was about 12 years old, old enough to, know some stuff. So I'm over here as a boy, and then my elderly or older teacher is over here. And we're in a cave. I mean, it looked like a cave. I have this massive book on my lap, a tome. I will call it a tome. this massive, I mean, well, I have my phone in my hand, so this is going to be hard, but, so it's like, the book is like this big in my lap here. And it's all in Tibetan. And what was interesting about this vision or dream where I saw all this is that I'm outside myself, but yet I was the boy. I was in both places at once, which was interesting. And as the boy, I'm studying the Tibetan book and the teachers, teaching me probably Buddhist wisdom. And but I'm watching myself and I go, well, how am I'm reading Tibetan. How am I understanding Tibetan? I wasn't catching on yet at this point. I'm like, how am I understanding Tibetan? And so it was only really a kind of a quick scene that I saw, and then I woke up or came out of it. I think it was a dream. No, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. So came out of it. So it was only just a quick little scene that I saw. But during hypnosis, I think back in 2015, more recently, I saw this past life as I was a Buddhist monk. I don't know why, I'm starting to feel emotion already as I talk about it. I cry a lot in my videos on YouTube lately. A lot of stuff is just coming up. Things are happening. Anyway, so I was a Buddhist monk. I feel similar to the Dalai Lama in terms of I was chosen from a young age that this was going to be my life. And I knew my responsibility. I accepted the responsibility. I put that above all else. So I see myself in this outdoor food market, either Tibet, Nepal, India, but probably Nepal or Tibet. And I see this girl, young woman, from far away. And, I mean, I was young at the time, too. I was like, I was probably 18 to 20 years old, something like that. She's in that same range. And I saw her from across the market. I see her now. I can see it. This whole life has been that vivid, and I can see her now. And I fall in love with her instantly. It was that instant thing that is really, really rare, but happens. And I saw her and I fell in love. But I knew my duty to my role as a spiritual teacher. And, I don't think the first time I ever saw her, I even talked to her. But over the years, I kept kind of paying attention to her and stuff like that. So I may have talked to her, I don't know. But I loved her through my entire life. Even though I knew I could not be with her, I had to be celibate. I had to be a teacher. That was my duty and my role. And I do think she ended up getting married or whatever and having a family and stuff. But I it was hard. But I put my duty above my own human need for a partner and companionship. And I go through my life, and I was I was a spiritual teacher for many decades to many people, students, and I can still see it. I remember at the end of my life, I didn't die quickly. There was some kind of lingering problem or just, old age or whatever. But I was at the end of my life. I'm definitely older, and I'm in this darkish room. Kind of looked like a cave again, but it probably wasn't a cave. I don't know. Um, I'm laying down and there's people, tending to me and that kind of thing because by that point I was pretty powerful, supposedly. And as I started, I knew death was very near. I went into deep meditation as I was about ready to cross over, and I meditated on the Bardo and was meditating on the Bardo when I left the physical realm. And I knew I'd heard the term the Bardo before. That's definitely more of a Tibetan Buddhism thing. But I looked it up a couple of years ago, and just to kind of verify stuff, and that seems to be common. That people who are very Tibetan Buddhist will meditate on the Bardo as they're dying and ready to cross over to the other realm. So it made sense what I saw during the hypnotic past life regression. And but anyway, increasingly, I've always been drawn to. Interestingly, any religion other than what was raised, because I was raised Catholic, but I just never resonated with it. I couldn't wait to get out of it, all that kind of thing. But I've always been very drawn to Buddhism, Eastern philosophy in general. Many years ago, I actually was a member of an Eastern Indian path. Always very drawn to India. I still I just rewatched The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, the original one. Part 2 was not anywhere near as good as the first one. And watching scenes of India and stuff with Judi Dench and all these awesome people, I'm like, oh God, I want to go to India. I want to go to India. But anyway, so that movie started to trigger a little bit of stuff. But then I have an Eastern Indian guide named Ramesh that showed up last Friday and Saturday. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He started showing up again all of a sudden, and I felt him around me, and coincidentally sat next to a guy on Saturday at a meeting who lived in India. Isn't that funny how that happens? And filled me in on some information about him. But I'm just all of a sudden just zen. First of all, I love Japan. I gotta go to Japan. I want to go to Japan so bad. I love the Japanese culture and people and their minimalism, which I'm very into. Their decor, their food, everything. Love it all. So, but all of a sudden, Buddhism is back. It's I just keep feeling this draw towards Buddhism again. And specifically Zen. So I'm reading more about Zen right now. And what I like about Zen, because I had a dream. Let's go back to another dream. I've always been very drawn to Buddhism, and Native American spirituality, and Wicca, witchcraft, everything else that's not Roman Catholicism. But actually, even a little Judaism when I was a teenager. I wanted to be Jewish. But, oh I keep forgetting. This video is all over the place. I probably need to make notes before I film these things. So, wait, hold on. Drawn to Zen. Oh, I know. So now this was a dream. This was not a hypnotic past life regression. But I had this dream many years ago where I feel like I was in Europe somewhere. I don't know, but I feel it. I'm in what looked like a church that probably just got rented out for the event. And the Dalai Lama was speaking in front of this huge crowd of people. Now, the church may just have been symbolic. It may have been my unconscious or subconscious's way of, putting a picture on what I was seeing. But it doesn't really matter. That's the unimportant part. So the Dalai Lama, our current Dalai Lama, is, he's teaching this massive, people shoved into this place to listen to him speak. And I'm at the far back. And he's talking, and then at the end of it all, you could get into a line, and he would give you a blessing. So I got into line. It took quite a long time for me to get up to have the blessing, and I finally get up to him, and so he's like, pull the phone back. So he's like here, and I'm here. And this all happened at once. What's cool is it was like, boom. These numerous things all were at the same moment. It's hard to explain it. But at the same moment, he looked into my eyes and he saw my soul. I knew he saw my soul. And I felt this plunk. This plunk into my, I guess, third eye, I'll say, between my eyes, forehead area. This little plunk went into my head, and I heard the words, "You have been chosen." And then, boom, I woke up. It was like, eyes, plunk, you've been chosen, all at the same time, then boom, I woke up. And it's still, that's another one where I can still see it. In my mind's eye, that whole moment, I can still, and that probably happened 20 years ago. I woke up going, chosen? Chosen for what? Don't leave me with that. That's a little overwhelming. And, and then, now, I've always been interested in Tibetan Buddhism, which goes along with the Dalai Lama, but it's really complex. It's similar to witchcraft. It is not a religion for the lazy. It's very complicated. And I'm still fascinated by it, so I still need to learn more about it. But it is a pretty complex religion, or if you really get into it. And but anyway, but Buddhism's coming back again, and I dabbled in the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo chanting Nichiren Buddhism back in the mid-90s. Whoop! There goes my phone. I dropped it. Sorry. Shoot. My arm's getting tired. So I did do Nichiren Buddhism through SGI chanting in the mid-90s. But I just didn't feel like it was quite it for me. But Zen, all of a sudden Zen is really calling me. And I'm downloading some books on my Kindle right now to read more about it. But what I like about the little bit I know of Zen at this point is that it's, I would say simple, but it's really not simple. It's complex. It's complex but simple. Simple but complex. There's not, when I say simple, I mean, there's not a focus on learning, numerous different levels of realms with different gods and all these things and stuff. It's much more basic. Buddhism has been called by some people a philosophy versus religion, because I think they don't specifically teach a god, or gods. It's more about personal enlightenment and going within and finding your source, as opposed to looking to someone else out there, which is very appealing to me right now, because I don't think I believe in some benevolent one loving creator at this point after everything I've gone through. But it is religion, but not in philosophy. Yeah, and I'm also drawn to Taoism, so I'm all over the place. But I gravitate towards Eastern philosophies of all types, and Ramesh signals